Hello everyone and welcome to this section. In this section, we're going to perform two key functions or key kind of transformations. We're going to do what we call it crop, which is how to actually crop the image, actually cut part of the image. And then we're going to learn afterwards, actually let me move right into it. We're going to call it dilation and erosion, okay? Which is simply how to change the thickness of the letters. How can you make it dilated or eroded, okay? I'm going to walk you through it. How can we perform it? And then I'm going to go to the Jupyter notebook and actually see how can we do this. All right, let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to do image, how to crop an image, how to cut certain parts of the image. Again, it's very simple. Let's assume that we wanted, for instance, to crop this section within the image. So what I need to do, I need to perform, or again, use the image, okay? And then you go within the image in the indices of the W node, which is an H node, which is kind of the location of the corner, which is top left corner. And then you provide the bottom right corner, which is W1 and H1. Once you do this, then you're good. Then you actually go within the image, you define, I need to, from H node to H1, I need pixels out of the image from H node, which is from here, okay, down to H1, right? It's like cutting basically this section, this section of the image. And then I want to go here and I want to crop, for instance, W0 or width 0 and width 1, which is simply you're going to cut this section too. And then once you do this, then you pretty much came up with a kind of cropped image, which is again image that has been kind of a subsection of your image. Okay, again, it's very simple. What you expect out of this is basically this section. All right, and then you can resize it, you can change the size, whatever you want, and that's pretty much how you perform it. Again, I'm going to show it in the Jupyter notebook. It will be a lot more clear. Okay. All right. The next operation they're going to be doing, which is very important, is what we call it dilation and erosion. Okay. So dilation means adding extra pixels to the boundaries of the object in an image, which means if I have this image, for example, I need, for instance, to, let's say, classify traffic signs, okay, which is one of the projects I'm going to be doing. Let's say I have 43 classes. I have, let's say, speed limit 25, speed limit 50, speed limit 100, or for example, yield, or for whatever, okay, these images. Again, the machine learning algorithms just take these images, okay, which is kind of coming from the camera of the car, and then what we need to do is that we need to classify the images, okay? So what if the image, for example, is like is a little bit far away, or for instance, the image is not clear, or it's covered by snow, or covered by whatever, okay? What you could do to enhance it is kind of change the thickness of the lines, of the letters on the image. So you can perform kind of dilation and erosion, okay, to make the training algorithm and the trained network classify objects or classify traffic signs a little bit more accurate, okay? Again, it's kind of transformation of the images that you could do. So how can we perform this? So first of all, you define the size of a kernel. I'm going to show you as well how can we change the kernel size. Again, you change here, we define a kernel 8 by 8, we can divide it 4 by 4, you can divide it whatever. And then here you use, again, OpenCV, cv2.erode. You provide the image, you provide the kernel, and then here you provide the iterations. How many times you actually want to do it. You want to do it like twice, you want to do it 5 times, you want to do it whatever. And that will give me the image erosion or eroded image. All right. And then afterwards, you're going to perform cv2.dilate. You provide the image, you provide the kernel, and that will give me image dilation, which is the dilated images, okay? All right, let's take a look. So that's my image, all right? And if you look here, that's kind of my eroded image, all right? Obviously, like someone will, gonna say, oh, no, you messed up, okay? All right, again, when I ran it for the first time, it was a little bit like confusing, all right? And actually, that's why specifically I included one slide coming up to show that, okay, like just in your mind, you are expecting when you do dilation is that you will gonna see the letters more, okay? That's why you're expecting, for example. However, this is basically dilation. So the letters are actually thinner. However, here you performed erosion, you actually see the letters are thicker, which doesn't make sense, kind of reversed. And that's why I included a slide specifically for this, all right? That's kind of the eroded image, and that's kind of the dilated image, all right? Again, OpenCV is a little bit like, it's a little bit kind of different, okay? Think of it in a different fashion. We think about dilation and erosion with the actual letters. So I look at the letters and I specify, okay, this letter looks to me that it has been dilated, which is pixels have been increased, okay? OpenCV thinks kind of in an opposite fashion. Thinks about the output of the image, okay, has been eroded. We see that the erosion and dilation is pretty much reversed, okay, when we do it in OpenCV. So for example, dilation, we're expecting, for instance, that this we're going to be the dilation. However, this is actually the dilation, which is when we perform dilation, we're expecting the letters to actually be more thick and more clear. However, here they became more thinner. All right, why? Because OpenCV thinks of the operation of dilation or erosion as not the actual, like letters as we see it, but actually from the actual boundary or kind of the background. All right. So here we're assuming that dilations mean adding extra pixels to the boundaries of the object within the image. Okay, and that's what you're doing here. You're adding an additional pixels to the boundary, which is the back of the image. So when you add more pixels, you will make the letters way thinner. Okay, and that's what you guys can see here. That's why the letters have been thinner. Okay, again, adding pixels to the white background, so letters will appear thinner. And that's pretty much the reverse. Okay, if you are a little bit confused, don't worry about it. The whole idea is when you wanted to perform actually dilation to your letters, just do erosion. Okay, just use erosion. You kind of use them in reverse. All right. If you want to do erosion, just use dilation instead, and then you'll be good to go. All right. And that's pretty much all what I have for this section. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And in the next section, what we're going to do is that we're going to actually perform erosion and dilation in OpenCV. And let's see how can we do it. Again, it's very simple. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you in the next section.